Press this morning. Will Hildebrandt is here. Hello,
Hi,
Will. We've been talking, of course, about the 20th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide and the anger that's been caused in Paris by the repeated accusations by Paul Kagame of French involvement at the very start of that genocide.
That's right. Le Croix puts it on its front page today. It says new tensions between France and Rwanda. Kagame, as you said, reiterated his accusations against France, saying it had a direct role in the political preparation of the genocide. Now, the French government said that hurt reconciliation efforts and had since announced it wouldn't be attending the commemorations. Now, all this got started last week when Kagame made these comments originally in the publication Jeune Afrique, and he hasn't backed off. In a new interview with left-leaning Libération, he repeated these views and said that France has been involved in Rwanda before and during the genocide, and maybe even after. He said, quote, France and Belgium played a negative role in the history of my country and contributed to the emergence of a genocidal ideology.
Now, Paul Kagame has also been very critical of the French legal system, saying its slow pace is a sign of France's unwillingness to cooperate.
That's right. Last month, the Paris court sentenced Pascal Simbikangwa to 25 years in prison, but this was the first such conviction in France in 2 decades following the genocide. And that's not enough for Kagame, who says that many leaders of the genocide took refuge in France. In Le Parisien headlines, Rwanda, La vérité tarde, or the truth will come out soon. The article talks about a secret note from the French intelligence agency DGSE and suggests French officials knew more than they let on. It says that those behind the plot to shoot down President Habyarimana's plane in 1994 were members of a security team, friends and allies, and that France tried to hush this up. Now, the paper also has another article. It looks at a former French gendarme, and its headline, "The Troubling Role of Captain Paul Baril." He was embroiled in scandals in the 80s before becoming a mercenary in the 1990s. Now, NGOs have called on officials to charge him with complicity in crimes against humanity. French magistrates already discovered he secured more than $3 million in arms contracts before and after the genocide, a time when the country was under an arms embargo.
Now, moving on to some news here in France. The man with a number of tough decisions ahead of him, France's new prime minister, who's to unveil his strategy to tackle the budget.
That's right. I guess we could say he has billions of tough decisions ahead of him. Le Figaro says Manuel Valls is challenged in coming up with 50 billion euros in savings. The government pledged to make the cuts between 2015 and 2017. And the paper says the Responsibility Pact is an unprecedented effort to provide lower fees to businesses, but will also hopefully go a long way towards meeting EU commitments to reduce deficits. And Les Echos looks at those paths that are being considered. According to the paper, the government's preparing to perform an unprecedented crackdown on healthcare of 23 billion euros.
Spending cuts, of course, that are always hard fought, Will, and the trouble for the government now is that it's going to have to fight its own party to push through those necessary reforms.
That's right. They're not getting a lot of support from party heavyweights like Martine Aubry, who have called for the government to shift its economic policy. L'Opinion says Aubry places Valls under surveillance. Those close to her say she was furious about Valls' appointment as the new prime minister, and she and other critics want the government to shift its policies back in line with more traditional socialist platforms.
Difficulties ahead there then, Will. One last story this morning in the French press that we're going to have a look at, and that is the new study and the new attention being paid in France to the difference in wages between men and women.
Yeah, it's being paid in France, but probably not enough from the perspective of women. Le Parisien headlines, "L'égalité, c'est pas gagné," loses its punch in English, but amounts to equality and uncertainty. Sector by sector, women earn 19% less than their male colleagues. And if we have time for one look at a cartoon inside, it's a woman that says, "There's equal pay in the government," and one of the men mumble, "Well, if they're looking for a way to save money," sarcastically talking about how, this inequality. So that's a look at it from inequality here in France.
Will Hildebrandt, thank you very much. A look there at the French press this morning, 27 minutes past 7 here in Paris. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the headlines. We'll also be getting the latest in focus. We'll be going to the town that was once known as Kibuye, and that church, the site of one of the worst massacres of the genocide. The town's been renamed Karongi, and our correspondents have traveled there to see what beyond the name has changed in 20 years.